Hi there, my name is Aaron, and welcome to the cult of Giallo. Today we are talking about the Giallo box sets that came out from Vinegar Syndrome. There are 4 in total that we're going to be looking at. A couple of them are gone to Standard Edition, though you will still be lucky enough to still be able to get at least the last 2, I think, for this time around in their box set glory. However, Standard Edition is still good because the only thing you're losing is the big hard box, but you're still getting all 3 films with all of the features on their respective ones. So what we're looking at right now is number 1. I'm going to go through all 4 of these, each film on each of these sets. I'll give you my thoughts on each of the films, and I'll tell you if you're picking up your first box set or if you're curious about a specific box set. I'll give you an idea on what my ranking rating is for each of the sets. So normally I've got like a ring light thing here, and I put it on and shine it on me. But today, since we're doing Giallo, I actually decided to be all shadowy because I've already packed my Giallo gloves from that I got from a Severin sale once. So let's dive right into Forgotten Gialli Volume 1 with, probably, to be honest with you, out of every set that we're going to look at today, and I do have a crib sheet here for some names I might forget, or because if you've watched my channel, you know that I butcher names all the time. So I need a crib sheet for that. This is probably the most forgotten of Forgotten Gialli set. When this initial set was announced, this is what I thought it was going to be. When I knew this was going to be a series of Giallo sets, I thought, okay, we're going to get like the really forgotten ones, the ones that not a lot of people know, that some ones that have bypassed me. And when I'm saying that, I'm a Giallo fanatic, so yeah, some that bypassed me. However, in the newer ones, we're starting to see stuff that isn't quite as forgotten. And we've gone on to 2 camps here. And when this initially came out, a lot of people lauded it and were really happy about it. But there was a vocal minority that were like, these are too forgotten. Why don't they have like big Giallos? How come Deep Red is not in here? Well, I don't think anybody's ever forgotten that one. My cousin has only seen 2 Giallos so far, and I've shown them to him. And he probably knows what Deep Red is. So, not a forgotten Giallo. With that being said, there's a lot of things that they did here that I'm very curious to talk about. And later on, by the way, in the later ones, you're going to hear me say just the opposite, where people complained. And I'm going to guess it's the same people that the Giallos are now too well known and not forgotten enough. So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. But we're starting off with Trauma. Trauma is by Leon Klimivsky. I'm going to get that wrong. Klimivsky, yeah. So if that name kind of sounds familiar to you, you're probably a Dario Argento fan, because you did ones like, I think, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. What's the Werewolf? Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf or something like that. And he did, I know he did Werewolf versus Vampire Women. So he did definitely did a few of those. He's done a lot of cool stuff. Vampires. I think Vampire Orgy was done by him as well. But anyway, he's definitely more of a respected name when it comes to directing. But he does direct a lot of lower budgeted stuff, and Trauma is definitely on that range of a lower budget Giallo. It's unique and it's different, and it's hard to talk about. And I'm going to try to keep these spoiler free because these are ones that I want you to experience and enjoy. One thing I will say with Trauma is you're going to think you know absolutely everything that's going on, and you're going to feel pretty cool about figuring out who the killer is fairly early. And then you're going to get to the ending. And if you're watching this with somebody, like, well, I initially wasn't. I actually watched this on my own, and just to check it out. And then I came down to my better half, and I told her, you got to watch this with me, because do you see what I see in the ending of this film? And it was something we talked about. So this was definitely a standout for me. I enjoyed the heck out of Trauma, and I do think that you will too. I think it's one that everybody, once they see this film, they are going to enjoy. They're going to enjoy Trauma. Now let's get to the police are blundering in the dark. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's not a good film. It is a very fun film. When you think of Giallo, and if you have never seen them before, and you've heard somebody explain Giallo to you, like it's Italian, and it's gonna be super sleazy, and there's gonna be like a lot of murders and murder set pieces, and you're gonna have some kind of bit of some dodgy dubbing, that type of thing. Um, you're probably not gonna picture something like a Deep Red or a Tenebrae. You're gonna picture Police Are Blundering in the Dark, because it's been jokingly referred to as the filmmaker is blundering in the dark. And it's not, I actually love this one. It's insane, um, in all the right ways. Now, there have been some Giallos where I'm just left kind of bored or scratching my head and like, what the heck did I just watch? In this one, I was like, what the heck did I just watch? Can I see more of this? This is crazy. I love this one right here. It is probably, until we get to volume 4, this is probably going to be your sleaziest Giallo that you're going to see in this collection. It's also going to be the craziest Giallo with the weirdest ending and just the most unusual, very, very low budget. You thought Trauma's low budget? No, this this ups it. This is the most low budget Giallo out of all these that we're going to look at tonight. But I love the hell of it. I really did. And if you're a fan of Giallo and you've seen a lot of Giallos before, and you think, okay, I know exactly where these are going. I'm used to this type of stuff. Then Killers 1 of 13, if you haven't seen it, is going to be a bit of a surprise for you. Killers 1 of 13 actually has Paul Naschy. Remember, we mentioned him earlier with Leon Klimowski. So Paul Naschy actually is one of the actors, not the main star, not even like the secondary star. He has an important part, but he's not a lead in this film. However, this is as close to the Agatha Christie-esque style as it goes. The director purposely shoots this one. This is a Spanish Giallo. Giallos are most known for Italy, but there's a couple Spanish ones on here. There's our Giallos, like what I consider Giallo, will still be in the Giallo format in other countries. This is it's a Spanish Giallo, and it's played down. So I think at the time that this one was made as well, putting in the nudity, the kind of sleazier stuff, was not something that could be done because of the regime in that period of time and where it was shot at. That being said, it doesn't take away from the Killers 1 of 13. It's an interesting little Giallo, and it has a nice ending to this. I gotta say, I did dig this one a lot. I was kind of disappointed with because like there's some very attractive women in here, and I'm like, oh, it's a Giallo. There's some very attractive women in there. I know where this is going. I didn't, and that's okay because it was a fun one. Diving into volume 2, and as you can see so far, you're seeing these slimline cases here. We'll have 3 like Blu-ray discs on the inside of these, but slimline cases, easy to store in your collection. We get the only Giallo that was done by an American, and that is Girl in Room 2A. Girl in Room 2A has this one. I'm going to look here because there's a cast that I have to mention. This was actually shot by William Rose. It was shot in Italy. It wasn't shot in America. But we do get Rosabella Neri in this, and if my dad watches this video, he'll be cheering because he bought this because Rosabella Neri is in this one. He's a huge fan of hers, and so are actually most people once they see her. She's really good in what she does, and she plays a lot of different characters. Sometimes a sinister character, sometimes a femme fatale. You know, it's kind of similar, isn't it? And sometimes, very rarely, sometimes she'll play the victim-y character. It's just like Rosabella Neri's acting doesn't kind of lean towards that. This is a really fun one. I enjoyed the Girl in Room 2A. There's actually a killer with a kind of an executioner, so I'm asking this. So yeah, it's a different film. As you can tell, I am purposely not telling you anything about the plots in these films. You're probably wondering, hey, isn't a review supposed to be like giving us the plots and the summaries? Yes, that's what a good review does. That's not what this is. This is just so you know the bare basics of these films, because you are going to go into this blind. Why? Here's why. Because they're Giallos. These are mysteries. These are fun little things to solve. And the less you know, the more fun you're going to have with it. And we're not just talking about the characters or the plot or anything like that. Just lets you know altogether. So the more blonde you go into a Giallo, the more fun it is. And that's why I'm sticking with it. So if you don't like that, I'm sorry. But that's where we're going to go with it. Girl in Room 2A is a cool one. It has a very different one. And the one thing I will say, there is a girl that she rents a room and strange things start to happen. Is it in her mind? Is there something else going on? Is there a reason other girls have disappeared? Yes, and well, not the mind part. We're not sure about that. We'll find out about that one afterwards. Next up is the French Sex Murders, which again has a ton of bigger people in this one. We have again Rosabella Neri. She's in this one as well. It's a smaller role actually. We have Anita Ekberg in this one here. We got Robert Sashi. Now Robert Sashi is probably best known as that dude that looks like Humphrey Bogart. He looks amazingly like Humphrey Bogart, and he made his career playing characters that look like Humphrey Bogart. He played him in The Man with Bogey's Face, among other things. So you'll know him when you see him because, hey, that's the guy, right? We also get an acting appearance by Dick Randall. So Dick Randall is a famous exploitation producer. He's in this one as well. Barbara Boucher, the girl with the eyes. Trust me, once you see Barbara Boucher, you never forget her. She is in this one. This is an amazingly cast film. It is so well done. And it is such a unique film. It kind of starts out at the end. We don't know who the police are going after, but we do know that they're going after someone. And then we go back to the end, to the beginning, and we follow it through to get to that spot again. It's not the hardest one to figure out, I'll be honest there, but the cast definitely made up for that. And let's go straight into My Dear Killer, which for me is probably the best one on this set. Now, this is a good set. Now, My Dear Killer's helped out because it has a score by Ennio Morricone. If you're a fan of spaghetti westerns or you're a fan of Argento, the early Argento giallos, Birth, Crystal Plumage, the Cat o' Nine Tails, all that early stuff, that was all scored by Ennio Morricone. And Morricone is probably one of the best-known Italian composers of all time. If you ever watched the Hateful Eight, then you've heard Morricone. That's the Quentin Tarantino film. But he scored My Dear Killer, and it does do a lot for this one here. Acting-wise on this one, do we know a lot of the actors in here? There's a few. You're going to know George Hilton, who mostly is known for westerns. William Berger's in this one as well. There's a few kind of like western-esque stars in this one here. So if you're a spaghetti western fan, there are going to be people that you recognize. Going into Volume 3, you're going to see that the names aren't there. And that really peeved me because I had to go in and look for all the names for all these movies because mine are all packed. So we're starting with 1975's Autopsy, which is an incredibly well-made film. If you have never seen Autopsy, I 1,000,000% recommend that one. We have one of the greats of Italian cinema in Ray Lovelock. Ray Lovelock is one of my favorite Italian actors, and he's in this one. I was so excited to see him in here. It is such a good film. Now, this is getting to a hard spot because when we get to these, I kind of want to tell you things. Autopsy is one of my favorites, and it is such a good movie. But please go in blind. Don't look it up. Like, don't even like trailers. Sometimes give away too much for these things. So go in blind. Do not look at trailers for these movies. I'm telling you, you don't want to do that. But this is a really good one. 1975's Autopsy is, when I say they're getting into, now this is a more well-known one. It has a vinyl soundtrack that's out there as well. Don't just go in blind. Next up on this one is probably the sleeper hit in this set, and that is Murder Mansion. Murder Mansion is extremely cool, and I dug the hell out of this film. I did not see this one before. This is one of the ones that I hadn't seen before, and it was such a breath of fresh air. It was unique. It was different. It was well done. It was just the way that it was shot, the acting, it was composed well, and it started out like that this was going to be the exact opposite of what I thought it was going to be. I thought that was going to be this was going to be the dud of the series. But the further I got into Murder Mansion, the better I found the movie. So yeah, 1,000,000% Murder Mansion. But honestly, it keeps getting better because I just realized that the third one on the set is The Crazy Desires of a Murder. So what does that mean? insanity. It means it's a film with a murder setup, but there's a whole series of subplots that are designed to intrigue you and sometimes throw you off from the actual murder aspect of it. There's a really good subplot with a guy that owes money, and so basically you have these kids that are going back to this family home. One of the kids' family home, and things obviously murders happen. Crazy Desires of Murder is, yeah, no, Murder Mansion, a great revelation. Crazy Desires of Murder, yep. This I'm going back on it. This is definitely right up there with Murder Mansion as one of the greats. It's a really good freaking film. All right, are you ready to get sleazy? Are you ready to want to take a shower? Because we're going to get to the fourth volume of Forgotten Gialli, and it's the newest one. All of these should be on sale during the sale, by the way. So the fourth Forgotten Gialli one came out, I think, in February. So this should be available during this sale for the first time. The first one is one that I hadn't seen for a long time. So I decided I'd look it up and check it out because I don't have the fourth volume yet. I do need to get it. But I've seen all the films on there. The only one that I hadn't seen in a long time and I need to see, I saw with my cousin Roger, and that is Arabella Black Nun. And do you remember Arabella Black Nun, Raj? Black Angel, sorry. Arabella Black Angel. So it's this girl that is kind of I guess she has kind of a kink. So she goes to this place where, yeah, where there's all these people doing all like these like sexual things, almost like I guess maybe like a sex club, brothel type of place, kind of one of those, if you know where to go and you know the password, you can get in. And it's a weird film, but it was fun. It was good. It was good, and the girl in it, like this was done in 1989, so this is a latter Giallo. This is way because Giallos usually you're thinking on like the late 60s, like getting into the early 70s, early to mid 70s for like the really kind of the big Giallos, and it'll go up to the 80s, but 89 is really pushing it when it comes to Giallo. But this is truly a Giallo, and actually a good one, better than I initially thought it was going to be. And is there nudity in this one? Yes, in pretty much in a lot of the scenes, and for sometimes it seemed like almost every scene there was there's nudity, but there wasn't. It was a lot. There's a lot of it. So when you're watching this movie, don't have like your kids around. Make sure this is not a night that you decided to invite the in-laws over, because that's not going to work out. The next one up is The Killer Is Still Among Us. Again, another one that was done was a latter era one done in 1986. Again, I really love this film as well. And honestly, that's with that being said, there's not a lot to say about it, except it's a really solid, good Giallo that I've, and it's based on, I think that was kind of based on a true story. So the next one, however, isn't, and the next one we got to talk about. So the next one stars Barbara Magnolfi, and if that name sounds familiar, then you've seen Suspiria, because Barbara Magnolfi was in Suspiria, and this is a starring vehicle for her. It also has her boyfriend at the time is Mark Perel, who unfortunately has passed on, and there were behind the scenes there were some demons that Mark Perel was dealing with, but that's neither here nor there. However, he is so good in this movie, almost too good as a seemingly drug addicted character that may have been playing over into reality, actually. But he does this extremely well. Sister of Ursula is one of the most insane weapons you're going to see in a Giallo film. There are sequences in it that actually made Barbara Magnolfi upset afterwards, because they shot extra scenes in the film that her and some of the other like actors that starred in the film did not agree on. So there is, we think of like when I said like the Arabella had like nudity, nothing to the degree of Sister of Ursula. Sister of Ursula borderline is like really pushing the softcore edge of what Giallo is. Giallo's always had nudity and like sleaziness and like certain like scenes, but this really pushes that to the next level. It was what they were doing to try and actually sell it, but the story still works because we have these actors. It is shot in a beautiful location. Trust me, when you watch this, you're going to want to go there. It is a gorgeous location. It was shot on location. It's fantastic. It's beautiful, and you're going to want to see it. It's a really cool film, and I definitely recommend it. So if you haven't gotten any of these, where's the place to start? What should you get? Well, when it's the truth of the matter is, usually when you're looking at this stuff, you're going to want to start where most people like to start, at the beginning. You're going to get like you're not going to get the higher. They're still quality giallos. They're good giallos, but they're lower budgeted giallos. You're not going to see the bigger actors or get some of the bigger composers until later in the sets. You'll have fun with Trauma, Police Are Blundering in the Dark, and The Killer is One of 13. But I'm not going to tell you that it's going to give you exactly the giallo experience. But if you are a giallo hardcore person and you have not seen these films, these are great ones to have in your collection because, well, for me anyway, I want as much giallo in my collection as possible. And I think these are really fun. Trauma is definitely the standout when it comes to this one here. If you like insanity, though, Police Are Blundering in the Dark is insane, and I love it for that. Well, Volume 2, again, the standout for that one is probably My Dear Killer, though Girl in Room 2A was initially the one I liked least, but has grown on me probably the most out of the three that are here. Not taking anything away from the French sex murders. I think the fact that the French sex murders had such a proliferation of big stars in it, the fact that it was so easy to figure out, may have taken it away a bit from me, and I think that's one that I do need to have to revisit. When it comes to Volume 3, well, everything was good on this one. Crazy Desires of a Murder and Murder Mansion are probably the standouts, with Autopsy being already a big giallo. So it's surprising to think that this could be considered a forgotten, any more than Tenebrae would be considered forgotten. But the fact that there's people out there that may have forgotten that Autopsy is a thing makes me a little bit sad inside, but luckily this set is around to rectify that. Every single one on this set is solidly a good film that you can sit back and watch, and you can say, okay, you're going to watch some great giallos. Volume 4, they definitely go in a different direction with these here. I think all three of these films are good. They're going into the latter era of giallo, which is not a bad thing, and they're going into the more sexy era of the giallo. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for the sleazier, sexier giallo, if you've watched Strip Nude for Your Killer by Andrea Bianchi, which I think is the first one that I showed my cousin, actually, then yeah, if you want that style of giallo, you're definitely going to get that here in Volume 4. I do recommend, if you got the bones to grab the 4 of these and you don't have any of them, you are going to have one heck of a marathon ahead of you with some very great, very different, very unique giallos. Because here's the really neat thing about these that I can tell you right now, is going from set to set, from giallo to giallo, it's not as formulaic as you would assume it to be. When you watch a lot of slasher movies, especially some of the when you get some of the lesser slasher movies, or the ones that kind of just didn't make it, the ones that kind of came in and cashed in, then you start to see a formula like go, and you get used to the formula, and if you're like me, you kind of enjoy and like that formula. With giallo, there is still that, it's a murder mystery, but they have so many different unique styles and takes on these films that you really are, although there's that murder mystery aspect of it, that Agatha Christie portion of it, that's usually going to be there, and you're going to have like different actors you're going to see crossover from giallo to giallo, but doing different roles, doing unique roles. It doesn't come across as a formulaic style. There are many different styles of giallos. When you're watching anything from Trauma to Autopsy to Arabella, they're very, very different. But one thing you will notice for a lot of these is a lot of these are very stylistically beautifully shot. So if you're a fan of cinematography, get ready for some really, really nice stuff here. The latter ones, like Arabella, is going to have more of a slicker MTV-ish, but like photography, but not in the bad way, not in the takes away from the film type way. So it's not like Rob Zombie-ish, where it looks good but doesn't make sense. No, it looks good and it makes sense. To give you a top, in all honesty, for me, all right, this is actually the hardest part. I would say that my favorite Giallo box set so far, and the most solid one all the way around, has been Volume 3. Volume, if you can only get one volume, Volume 3, I think, is still in stock and in print with the hard box. That would definitely be the one that I would go with immediately. That would be my immediate buy if you don't have any of them at all and you can only get one. If you're looking at, okay, I can grab a couple of them, go for the hard boxes first. Go out and grab yourself Volume 4. You get 3 and 4, get the hard boxes, and go back later and pick up the standard editions. If you can pick up 3 of these, you're like, okay, I'm going to get the hard boxes, but I can just grab one more. Then it gets a little bit harder, because I want to say Volume 1 because it's the underdog of the set, but I know that you're going to get more quality out of volume 2, more quality films, but you're going to get more obscurity and a bit more talking point with volume 1. But if you can pick up one, go for volume 3. If you don't own it, if you don't own volume 4 and you own the rest of them, that's a no-brainer. Get volume 4. If you can get 3 of them, go for 2, 3, and 4. If you want to just start at the beginning, like I do, like go with volume 1, but get the hard boxes first. I really wish I had them here to show you, but I don't. But they're along the lines. This is my my Anaconda. It's from from 88 Films. This is a hard box, so they're really a hard box like this. Except instead of like coming in through the side like this, it opens up from the top, and you take them out from the top rather than coming at the side. So the box is completely. There's artwork all around it. Trust me, it looks gorgeous. Even when you slip the top of it off, there's artwork underneath where the top portion of it goes. There's some pictures of it on the Vinegar website, so if you haven't seen it, I would definitely check it out. With all that being said, I hope that this has helped you decide where to go with the Forgotten Gialli box sets, because I think that they're ones that everybody should own. For me right now, though, number 4 is the only one that I don't have. So I'm hopefully going to be able to get it. I'm not quite sure. Just in case, I'm going to get up my black gloves and my trench coat and see what I can do about getting that box set. Even if I got to find like an old relative and a special and a special type of like inheritance, because that's what some of these shows talk about. Anyway, in all seriousness, though, pick up the Forgotten Gialli box sets. They are great sets. Am I going to be talking about the other box sets? Yes, I am. But I was asked to talk about the Forgotten Gialli box sets in specific. So here you go, guys. Forgotten Gialli box sets, volumes 1 to 4. My thoughts on every one of them, every one of the films, and which are my favorites. I was going to rank them all, but I'm like, no, too much timing. And I'm worried that if I start going into ranking specific films one by one at this point, because I did it before, that what's going to happen is I'm secretly going to give away stuff that I don't want to give away. My name is Aaron. Thanks for joining me tonight here in the shadows, in the cult of cinema, in our cult of Giallo, and I will see you soon. This has been another edition of the Month of Vinegar Syndrome.